Hello, welcome back to the studio. So I'm going to be here talking about 21 Pilots once again today. This time, I'm going to do the music video for Shy Away. If this is your first time seeing me, I've done a couple videos on 21 Pilots so far, and I like to analyze the music video and specifically the Dema lore that they've come out with. Not so much the music. I'm really into storytelling, and so this narrative that they've built behind their music is very interesting to me. So let's go ahead. I'm going to react and we'll watch through the Shy Away music video and then we'll get into the breakdown. All right. So there's 21 Pilots, Shy Away. So I broke this down into multiple parts when it comes to the message of the song, the Dema lore, the narrative, even the Easter eggs, to try to help me categorize it. I've spent a lot of time on this. I also want to say I'm not going to get everything right. Some of the stuff I say are theories, not fact. Nothing that's been confirmed by Tyler and Josh. But to be honest, most of the stuff is that they've done is not confirmed. So I want to start with the physical Dema. So like the obvious things that are in this video that's very straightforward. This is a part of the storytelling for the plot of this portion of their story. So the very first thing is right at the top, you see their Scaled and Icy, their Psy logo. They changed it from the kitchen sink logos that they've had in past albums. I want to bring this up real quick at the top. Is the interesting thing about this is we know that this album was told to us that this is propaganda. This is actually two different things. This is a Psy, like a Psy dagger or Psy sword, And that's what scaled and icy's initials are. But also, it's the East is Up symbol that's been repurposed. And also, it resembles very much the psychology symbol. So there's multiple meanings, I think, behind this symbol. But we know that this has been repurposed by the bishops and by Dema for their purposes, because it's had other meanings regarding rebellion and in the past of their narrative. So the next thing is, we know that this is under control by the bishops and by the lords of Dema, because right at the top, Tyler, you get this close-up of Tyler with Josh in the background, and Tyler is looking really melancholy, and he kind of turns his head almost like someone's getting his attention, and he kind of nods like someone told him to do something. So it's like he's being forced to do this. It's not something he's excited or looking forward to doing. The other interesting thing is the aspect ratio. Now, we saw in the live performance that came out a few months back that the start and end of the live performance was the traditional old style TV 4:3 aspect ratio of the screen. We've seen a lot of different shows and Instagram influencers use this filter to make it look like old footage, but really for them it's to represent a specific vibe or a theme, and what they're going for is the classic TV look. And so their very first music video was in 4:3 aspect ratio, which we saw the Good Day Dema show with that classic feel that was also 4:3 aspect ratio. So we know that this is being produced and created by the bishops and by the lords of Dema. This isn't something that 21 Pilots has done traditionally. There's a lot of signs here that we can pick up on. The next thing a little bit is the drumsticks. So they're yellow, so they're kind of, and something I've noticed going through a few of these is that the colors, as I said in the past, the colors matter a lot when it comes to their content, when it comes to their music and their messaging. Yellow represents banditos, but we've seen a variety of colors with Scaled and Icy. And Scaled and Icy's propaganda, it's being hosted by the bishops. And so in that case, they're trying, same with the logo, they've taken something that meant one thing and has repurposed it for another. But at the same time, it's left up for interpretation if Josh is using yellow drumsticks as a sign of rebellion, even in the background of what they're being forced to do. Also, I need to point out everything in this music video is wet. And that's a bit weird because you look at it, there's like on the cymbals on the drums, there's water droplets on the floor, everything's shiny and wet. Things are wet. I don't know, almost like there's water poured on stuff. And there's actually a significance to this. So like the Banditos is the rebellion against Dema, the rebellion against the bishops. That the representation of that was like on fire, flames, dry, yellow colors. And the opposite of that is wetness. If you go back to The Judge, there's a lyric that says the leaders of the bad guys sang something soft and soaked in pain. And the leaders of the bad guys, if you're referring, because it was during the Blurryface album, that could very well mean Blurryface. If the leaders of the bad guys saying something soft and soaked in pain, don't know why he would use that descriptive terminology, but it could mean it's an abstract representation of rebellion or positivity represents the fire and the negative represents like a cold, wet feeling. So they've purposely made a lot of things wet in this music video, and there's a lot of water everywhere, even though there's not like a body of water. The other thing is there's the logos of Dema on the shirts. They both have the Psy symbol on their shirts. And one other thing I wanted to point out to make a correction from my last video. So I asked you guys to tell me if I was missing something when I did the stressed out music video. It looked like there was an S backwards LC drawn on the drum set. Well, I got it totally wrong. Someone did correct me in the comments section. It's actually an SJC, and I don't know how I missed this. But basically, every single music video and live performance that they've done, it's a drum brand. It's a well-known one. It's the one Josh always uses. So thank you for the comment to let me know that. As you can see, it's right there on these drum sets, SJC. It's just a brand of drums that I guess is pretty nice. Pretty nice. We also see the Dragon, and which we know is Trash. I have a suspicion that Trash is, well, at least the version of Trash that's on the cover is also a distorted version of Trash, because we actually have learned that Trash is an ally to Tyler and Josh, not an ally with the Bishops. And we'll see that here in this music video. So when there's the hidden word destroy in the artwork, and that, you know, if you go look online, there's a lot of actual meanings where they repurposed this dragon from an old author who used to write books a long time ago. It's actually very similar artwork. They kind of repurpose this. I think they're taking a symbol that's actually meaningful to Josh and Tyler and doing once again something that's distorting it for their own purposes and their own agenda. We also see the lights. We know that I'll get to the locations in just a second, but as you can see, these lights, they look very similar to the neon gravestones. So we know, or have a good idea, that this is a part of actual Dema, maybe outside the city or close to outside the city. The same color temperature of the lights, the fact that it's a bar or a stick, a strand of light. It's the style that Dema has for their illumination. It's very cold. So this is a good indication that we are inside Dema for at least a good chunk of this music video. And then when I said the locations, the biggest thing that I want to bring up is that there's multiple settings for this music video. I've put 3 of them here. One is by this gas station and by a shop that's called Saturdays. The other one looks like it's inside of a dark studio with some lights. And then the last one is this like red, orangish, pink sky with Trash the Dragon flying around it, and they're performing around other versions of themselves. I want to say, I believe, if I'll get into it a little bit deeper as I continue, but I think one of the big things is the orange sky location is actually inside, I think, of Josh and Tyler's head, or it might just be an abstract setting to help motivate the narrative they're telling. I do think that on the street side by the gas station in the Saturday shop, underneath those lights, I think that that is actually a physical location in Dema, and I think that the other studio that's dark, that has the lights, and even later in the music video where there's a wall on top of them, I think that is actually like a physical studio inside of Dema. And then this other location that feels more like it's outside is not. It's more of an abstract location for story motivation. I want to go into some Easter eggs. So a big one is that a lot of people's mentioned, obviously, the Saturday location. That's one of the album's names that was thrown in, one of the track names on the album that was thrown in there before Saturday came out. So just kind of like looking forward to it, just a regular Easter egg. We also see in this pattern here that there's 3 lights, and the 4th light is broken. It's not illuminating, which goes back to the Judge. Like I said earlier, I think there's multiple connections to a few songs that they've done in the past in this music video. The Judge, where it says 3 lights are lit but the 4th one's out, that's another Easter egg that's hidden in there. The other thing is the gas station itself. The gas station, I don't think, has any significance at all, other than a few days before they came out with this, Jenna Joseph, Tyler's wife, posted an Instagram picture of her and Tyler and Rosie on the road going into a gas station, and she mentioned that he has a love of gas stations for some reason. So I think that's just a quick little Easter egg saying, hey, this is like Tyler likes gas stations, so they put it in there. The other thing, I want to acknowledge the levitating items that are outside, like the tires and the cones. It could just be a quick Easter egg to the song Levitate. I did look into the song, and there's not any clear or worth mentioning ties to the messages of these songs, so I didn't really want to bring it up, but there probably is significance there. Let me know in the comments if you know of what that significance is. The phone call is, again, an Easter egg looking towards the music video Saturday and the song itself, where he has a phone call with Jenna, and the phone sign is lit up in a yellow color, and we know yellow represents banditos, the help and outside motivation you get to overcome the adversary, that basically the whole theme of Trench. And if he's talking to Jenna, then he's talking to somebody that's in his support system, his jumpsuit, if you will. So that's pretty significant, but it's basically just an Easter egg. I don't think there's any more meaning outside of that fact. I think it's just an Easter egg. I also wanted to mention another really important key here is, and this will come up again later, but I want to show you this, because there's a section where all of a sudden the ceiling of, I guess, an LED wall starts strobing these colors and these lines of blue and green. Now, if you have been to one of their live shows, the colors that I remember best, and I went and checked this on videos from their live performances, the blue and green colors don't show up anywhere else in this music video except right here, and they're actually the colors that are strobing during the song Morph from the Trench era. I wanted to point this out because I think that the concept of the song of Morph ties into the Dema messaging that they're trying to communicate here. Before I go any farther and get into some theories and the overall message of the song, if you're enjoying this, I would very much like you to like the video, leave a comment, let me know what your thoughts are up to this point and some theories you have, and also I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. I've put a couple 21 Pilots videos out, and me, my brother Josh, and my friend Wyatt, we put videos on this channel reacting to movie trailers, fun content from our podcast that we just enjoy talking about. We love stories, we love the concept of crafting stories, and we love being entertained by other people's stories. And so if you are interested in that kind of content, including more 21 Pilots content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. So let's get into the message of the song itself. I believe that it's pretty much common knowledge that the overarching message of this song is don't shy away from the motivation, the opportunity, the idea of working towards your dreams and success. We know that Tyler wrote this song specifically for his younger brother, Jay, and the reason being is because Jay has recently started creating his own music. He has songs like Jumpman, Gun to Bad, and he's pretty good. And he's actually, just in the past couple weeks, started doing a few live shows, opening for a few other artists, and he's actually going to open for one of their shows coming up, which is really cool. But the whole concept of the song is like, I've been doing this for over a decade of this music thing, figuring it out, the industry, performing, and the advice I give to my younger brother is don't shy away, leave everything you have on the floor, come away from the show tired pretty much, or don't feel like you've left anything unsaid. Basically be as vulnerable as you can be. And it's interesting that they are surrounded by 4 other versions of themselves wearing the mask. And we know the mask represents hiding, almost like they call it a skin, hiding your identity in order to say what you have to say, but you're insecure to do that with your own identity. And so it kind of protects you. It protects your insecurities while you're performing. And it's kind of like another abstract message that they started many years ago, but from the beginning. I mean, there's so many concerts since Tyler Joseph started getting on stage that he would be wearing a ski mask, just like the 4 other Tyler and Josh's in this music video. And I think there's 4 other ones, and then they're in the center because there has been 4 albums that came out with actually specifically Tyler and Josh. The very first album, self-titled 21 Pilots, that was Tyler and then 2 of his other friends that started the album, and then those 2 friends quit the album because they couldn't keep up with the schedule and the motivation needed to stay in the band. And very soon after that, Josh joined. They came out with Regional at Best, Vessel, then Blurry Face, then Trench, and now Scaled and Icy. So that's 5 albums. There's 5 versions of Tyler and Josh. And it's also interesting that the ski masks has different levels of tatteredness. Some people think that it's like trash burned their masks, and maybe they've alluded to that in interviews and such. I'm not sure. But either way, I think it's pretty clear that they are showing their vulnerabilities, their insecurities. It's coming through their mask. It's literally tearing the thing that's supposed to protect and conceal them. And so that's kind of a baseline messaging of the ski masks and the tatteredness from this music video. And once again, this is an advice message song. But I don't think that there's a huge correlation with the specificness of the meaning behind this song and what they're trying to communicate for their Dema narrative. I have watched a few people online that's explained it, and I'm going to be honest. I don't dislike some of their comments and their commentary, and maybe they won't like mine either. That's fine. I appreciate that if anyone has done commentary, I appreciate you're putting stuff out there, just throwing ideas out there. It's a fun time, regardless if I agree or not. But I don't think, some of these concepts feel pretty far out there. They'll take a tiny phrase that Tyler says and create this whole narrative behind the meaning of the song, and maybe that's correct. But sometimes it gets a little too far out of bounds. I spoke with the pop song professor on my podcast a number of months ago, right after Scaled and Icy and Choker came out, the music videos before the album. And I remember him telling me, he's done quite a few videos on 21 Pilots, and I remember him telling me, like, it's important to deal with actually what we know, and not go too crazy far out of bounds, because then you're just making noise. There's nothing confirmed. However, I do love theories. I'm not going to take his advice 100% because I actually have a theory that I feel pretty strongly about, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments of what you think about this. So, something I need to point out is, towards the end, something very confusing happens. First off, this image right here, we see that they're standing on a pathway that is that cyan color, and then there are these towers that also kind of look like pathways, but they're standing up straight, they're sideways, they're at an angle, they do 90-degree angles, and they almost are like triangles. You could say, oh, they're just like an abstract concept for mountains, because the live performance, they were doing it in front of snow-capped mountain background. Possibly. I would venture to say there's actually a deeper meaning here, because it's so big on screen, it's bringing so much attention to itself. There has to be a message here. Going back to what I was saying earlier, that the symbol, the newest symbol for 21 Pilots, Scaled and Icy, is very similar to the psychology symbol. And I've also heard a lot of people and I agree with them, say that this part of the song, when they're in this environment with trash flying behind them in these bluish looking towers, that this is an abstract or inside of their minds kind of location. And if that is the case, then I want to present you with an idea. There are something called neuron pathways, and that's literally what psychologists, this is dumbed down, that's what psychologists use to help people get better. People come in, see psychologists or therapists, and they talk about their ideas, their behaviors, their experiences, their trauma. And one of the biggest things to mental health is to create new neuron pathways. That means literally you have a certain pathway of neuron electricity that runs through your brain and causes you to think a certain way. In order to get better, you have to change your perspective and literally physically create new pathways in the brain. In this music video, they are standing on a cyan-colored pathway that's really long, and behind them are literally the same things, just up off the ground. It's not located flat on the ground. And then towards the end of the music video, there's this humongous flash of light in the Dema world. And Tyler, if you look at it closely, the camera is shaking, but Tyler looks at the light, and then, like at the beginning, he kind of looks off to the side, but here he turns his head and looks up in the sky. And we know in this environment, earlier in the music video, there's a lot of sky drone shots looking down at them. It almost suggests that this could be a POV of Trash the Dragon. So he might be physically in this Dema location. We know he was there physically underwater for the Saturday music video. So Trash is a physical dragon. There's also in the Choker video, it introduces Trash as a toy that's concealed in a box and trapped and basically can't get out. And Tyler wants to get him out. Josh also does this weird thing that he like creates this magic out of his face to basically trap and conceal and put a lid on Trash and then Tyler and his dog Jim. And it's an interesting concept because I have a theory that that's exactly what's happening here. I think the bishops are using that same magic to capture Trash that's flying in the air around Tyler and Josh in this location. That's why Tyler turns his head and looks up when the flash is happening. And then in this environment, as soon as that happens, it switches this environment, changes the shot in the music video, and these towers that are behind them start crumbling and falling apart and landing. I brought this symbol up. This is the very first 21 Pilots kitchen sink logo. And if you look here, you see a cyan blue color and a red color. We know red represents Bishops or Nico, Blurryface, and cyan now represents Trash the Dragon. And if all of our theories are correct, then Trash the Dragon represents the self-will and the power and the positivity and creativity that you get from your own mind. So if there's a physical embodiment of that, Trash the Dragon, physical embodiment of depression and suicidal thoughts and darkness that's represented by Blurryface, by the red color, then these two colors have been at odds each other since the beginning of their existence for 21 Pilots. So in the music video, these start to crumble, these towers. And Trash the Dragon is no longer in it. After that big burst of light, Trash is not there anymore. You don't see him anymore. I think that these are abstract concepts of literal neuron pathways, because why I think it's a pathway is because they're standing on the same thing. And it shows this is a pathway, those are pathways, that's a pathway. They all look like pathways, and they start to break. I think that means that when trash is captured, or this part of Tyler and Josh, their creativity, their positivity is captured by the Bishop's blurry face, well then all of the progress that you've made, all of the work you've done for mental health can start to feel like it deteriorates, it falls apart, it's destroyed. And I think that might be the core story baseline for this music video. It's saying that these two things are at odds against each other. And then the narrative that continues into the next one is that trash is captured. Tyler and his creativity and his positivity is captured and being put in a box by Dema and the Bishops. And I think this is an abstract representation of that. I also wanted to point out, going back to the morph concept, which is why I think there was that little moment that reminded me of morph, is actually the cyan color of those pathways of Trash the Dragon himself, of the original logo, is actually, to get that mixture, you have to have it on the color scale, the color number, whatever it's referred to as. You have to have 100% green and 100% blue, mix those together, and it becomes this color. Those are literally the same colors as the morph theme during live shows. They'd never made a music video for morph, but during the live shows, that's the theme. And you can look it up online, look at the screens behind them, look at the lights they're using. It's green and blue. And then there's that random moment in here where they have the green and blue strobing lights that doesn't match the rest of the video. So yeah, that's I think that is about it. I spent a lot of time crafting this. I actually just stared at these towers, or what I think are pathways, for hours, and was just like, man, what are these things? There has to be significance to them because they're such a big part of the music video. And I think I have a solid theory. I haven't heard anyone else theorize about what this is. If you agree, if you disagree, leave it in the comments. I would love to hear your ideas or maybe holes in my theory. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you are interested in watching another one of my 21 Pilots videos, I did recently the Stressed Out music video. I went and told the importance of why Stressed Out was important, why the Blurry Face album was important for setting up the Dema universe. And I also did this Saturday music video, and I'm going to keep doing these. So once again, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to watch my Stressed Out video, it's right here. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.